Hello and welcome to another set of midweek championship predictions from the Honest Thought podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Mr. Daniel Cody. We start off with some sad news happening in the Fulham-Blackpool game on Saturday. Fulham fan Paul Parrish sadly lost his life going to a Fulham match. No fan should ever go and not come back home. We send our best wishes to Paul's family and rest in peace. We have 4 championship games to cover this midweek, all catch up as usual because of COVID. And we start with 2 games on Tuesday night. Millwall versus Preston at the New Den. Millwall with a fantastic 2-0 victory against West Brom. And Preston coming back late on for a 2-2 draw against Bristol City.
Yeah, and for as much as it's probably a result, again, similar, we've said it many a time, it's not a result they would have been too happy with at the start, I don't think. But given the circumstances, it just leaves you in buoyant mood when you equalise late on like that. And I think over the course of the game, it was a pretty even match in terms of chances. So it was a thoroughly deserved point. And it rounds off what was a decent week for them. If you'd said before playing West Brom, you'd get 4 points out of 6, I think they'd have been happy. And both of these sides have beaten West Brom 2-0 in the last week. So it makes it very hard to judge who's the favourite. Millwall, again, it was a pretty even game. The keeper made a very smart save from Andy Carroll early doors. It could have been very different otherwise, but ultimately Millwall had the cutting edge. They scored a classic set-piece knockdown for the first goal. It was very Millwall-esque. And look, after 4 straight defeats in all competitions, it was important for them to bounce back. I just wish I'd gone 2-0 instead of 1, but it wasn't to be. Look, Millwall, when they find a result, they generally go on a little run. They've been better at home this season than they have away. They've won 6 of the 13 games. Preston on the road are average. And they're a bit hit and miss under Ryan Lowe. So I'm going to go for Millwall to keep the run up. I think Preston will score, though. I'm going to go 2-1 to Millwall.
Yeah, I expect this to be a tight game, to be honest. You said Millwall, I thought were fantastic against West Brom. Took advantage of West Brom's defence mistakes and they just took full advantage. Benakovic scoring, pleasing to see.
Great goal.
Preston, on the other hand, great equaliser. So Jacobson, he scored in midweek as well at West Brom. So they'd be delighted to get back into that game. They thought they lost it late on, but credit to them, they kept going right at the end, and it was a good volley to make it 2-2. I'm going to go sit on the fence in this one. Championship favourite scoreline of 1-1. I think obviously Millwall had to work hard to defensively keep that clean sheet. Preston had to push to get that equaliser themselves. So I expect to be a tight game down the New Den Tuesday night. It's always going to be tough there. Cold day, cold evening, shall I say. I'm going to go 1-1 in that game. Right, next up, it's Swansea versus Luton Town. Swansea lost 2-0 at the miracle of resurgence of Hull, and Luton drew 0-0 with Blackburn. We both went to watch Luton v Blackburn. It wasn't a great game. A lot of players were missing key players, and it clearly showed there's not enough quality.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game. I'm not going to give it too much detail. Both sides were pretty solid defensively. Both sides were happy with a point. And Luton, look, it's been a decent month for them. My concern on the Luton front is the 2 games that Adebayo hasn't played this month have been both blanks in front of goal. The 3 that he has played in the league, we've scored 2 or more in all of them. So it's very clear that he is key to the attacking form of Luton Town. Swansea, back-to-back blanks for them as well. Really started so slowly against Hull. And when you're coming up against a side with a new manager, for whatever we thought of the new manager and for whatever he may achieve later on for Hull, Swansea knew that first 20 minutes, there was going to be a bit more of an atmosphere. It was going to be a front-footed Hull side. You've got to come out the dressing room sharp. And they were atrocious for 20 minutes. They were actually all right in the second half. They were probably the better team in the second period, but the damage was done. We used to say it in Sunday League, Craig, you can't give teams a 2-0 head start. You certainly can't do it in the bloody Championship. So, look, really disappointing after 2 good defensive performances from Swansea. I actually think it's going to be a really poor game. It looks like Adebayo won't be fit again for Luton, perhaps won't be starting at least. So for these 2, it might actually come down to what happens on deadline day. As it is, I'm sitting on the fence with a draw. And I think I have to go goalless. And I'm very glad as a result I'm not going now.
Yeah, you was going to go on a Tuesday night all the way to South Wales. It's always going to be a long trip. I totally agree with what you said about Swansea, because Russell Martin would probably want them to play expansive football. And that was probably sort of game as you said, you expect that, like, new manager, new owner, be boring for 20 minutes. Don't let them settle. But they don't. Obviously, they're not going to do like that because
No.
they want to play on the floor, play from the back, all that stuff, play some really good football. But you have to spoil it a little bit because they're up for it. They're going to be up for it. And they caved in the first 20 minutes. They killed them, and they killed all that momentum. And it was always going to be an uphill task to get back into the game. Luton, on the other hand, obviously missing a load of players. No Bradley, no Clark, no Adebayo. It did make a difference, to be fair. I thought they worked hard, Luton. First off, they should have really taken their chances. Naismith that scuffed his shot. Jerome hit the post. But defensively, I thought they were sound anyway. I thought Gabe Osho was probably Luton's best defender. And it was a feisty game, really, with a lot of physicality with Gallagher and Lockyer and Lansbury.
A lot of the dark arts.
Dark arts. That I think you kind of, that's what you needed. I think, like you moan about, Lansbury was being an idiot. But you kind of need that one player in that team to be that sort of idiot. Obviously, I know you didn't get sent off, luckily, but like, you might get retrospect to that action. I don't know. But you need that sort of play. You need at least one player because otherwise you'll be too nice and then you get found out and then you lose. But if you have the little one player or two that has a little bit of a nasty streak in them, it does make a little bit of difference. It can G other players up. So how I think this game's going to go, I think it'll be another draw. I think 1-1 will be the scoreline. I know there's 2 1-1s now. It depends what team Luton come. As I said this last week, it depends what team Luton come out. If Bradley's fit, if Clark's fit, if Adebayo's fit, happy day. We've got an excellent chance of winning. But we lacked a little bit of quality going forward without them sort of players. Defensively, we were sound. So, yeah, I think 1-1 will be a fair result. Right, let's get on to Wednesday. It is Barnsley versus Cardiff at Oakwell. Barnsley lost 1-0 to Bournemouth. That surprised me considering Bournemouth scored pretty early. Cardiff, they beat Nottingham Forest on Sunday 2-1 at the Cardiff City Stadium. They fully deserved the 3 points there.
Yeah, really good performance though, Cardiff. Certainly one of their best in a long time, in the league anyway. Better defensively than they have been, albeit Forest had a very off day going forward. But look, really great to see the new signing Jordan Hugill scoring within 6 minutes. I thought he was a presence up there. I thought they were more defensively solid than they were certainly against Bristol City, where we saw the calamity of errors last week. So positive signs there. And they needed it because they were getting dragged right back into that battle. They've given themselves a little 6-point cushion now. And this is another one of those must-win games because for Barnsley, I would hasten to say, I think they're already gone, but this is certainly last chance saloon now. One of the 2 teams directly above the relegation zone. You've got to get a result. They were actually pretty good against Bournemouth. They created chances, but they haven't got goals in the team. They didn't have goals in the team before DK joined last year, and they haven't had goals in the team since he left. And that is a big difficulty for them. Added to the fact that they're not great defensively, it all stacks up pretty poorly. Even of the strikers that are signed on at the club, obviously there's no Corley Woodrow at the moment. There was no Adebayo Ajo at the weekend. They're so short of attacking players. And going all the way back to the summer, we said, is Devante Cole going to be able to replace those goals? Asaka's not been able to do it either. They're really struggling going forward, Barnsley. They haven't scored in 2 games. I can't predict them to get a result. I think Cardiff are going to edge it by 2-1. Yeah,
Barnsley, it's a spirited performance, but when you're down at the bottom, you've got nothing going to get on your way. That sort of performance is there. And the goal they conceded was crap. Bradley Collins coming out of his area and then couldn't deal with the cross, and it was a free header for the guy in the centre, but for Billings, sorry. So yeah, that's a sort of goal that is so typical for a team at the bottom to concede, and it's so infuriating. Even though I'm a neutral in that game and my team's at mid-table, but as a defender, it's so infuriating. So yeah, that's a bit annoying. They are lacking confidence going forward. They're not going to get a striker in the next day or so. Oh, well, time this recording comes out, it's transfer deadline day. So I can't see them getting another striker in. So they obviously have to deal with what they've got. It's going to be a tough road. Cardiff, excellent performance on Sunday against Nottingham Forest. Can they do 2 games in a couple of days? Yes, just about, in my opinion. I'm going to go by the odd goal of 1-0. And the final game on Wednesday, it is Huddersfield Town versus Derby County. Huddersfield played on Friday night, drew 1-1 with Stoke, and Derby drew very late on with Birmingham, coming back from 2 goals down. Let's start with Huddersfield. That was an absolute shocker by Josh Koroma.
It was, yeah. Look, it was. I think it would be fair to say it wasn't a vintage Huddersfield performance by any stretch of the imagination. Stoke probably just edged the game, but they still got a point. They're still unbeaten in the calendar year so far. They're still unbeaten in 6 in all competitions. And they're ticking over quite nicely. Derby, likewise, we mentioned it in the first game of this prediction. A late equaliser can do so much. And to get someone like Christian Bielik back from a long-term injury in a situation where you can't sign new players.
Well, I think he'd be out because he was holding his shoulder after he scored. So his arm was pretty much in a make-believe like shirt sling. So we'll see how he gets on with that. But
yeah, I mean, it was almost like having a new signing. And my word, he's made an impact regardless, hasn't he? Let's be honest. But to have him back, to see that goal, it was the biggest attendance in a championship today since Leeds were in the championship. So I think that has to be mentioned as well. It's 32,000 at Pride Park. Incredible attendance, great late comeback, buoyant for them. The safe money's a draw. Look, Derby have drawn nearly half of their away games. Huddersfield drew at the weekend and have drawn 3 of their last 5. And they're just clinging on in that playoff mix. They've dropped out to Middlesbrough now, but they're level on points. They want to keep putting them on the boards. I'm going to go for... I don't know what score. Championship's favourite scoreline. I've got to have one, haven't I? 1-1.
I knew you'd say 1-1. Let's get on to Huddersfield. Huddersfield, the first half, played pretty well, in my opinion. I said the tackle was an absolute shocker. I don't know what Gavin Ward was looking. He saw it, and it was awful.
It was such a clear red card. That's the bit I can't understand.
But the thing is, for me, is that wasn't even booking. That didn't get a booking. So if FA want to get involved, do retrospective action, like I said about Lansbury, for example, it's a red card. Let's be brutally honest. And I don't want players to get banned and all that stuff. I want players to play. But that is so bad. I'm so grateful that Stoke player is still walking. He carried on playing the rest of the game because that was horrendous.
I do want to say, to be fair, and I very rarely criticise referees. I normally try and calm you and previously Charlie down. But for him not to have got booked, if the referee's match report, he states that he's seen that, so retrospective action can't be taken, I will be flabbergasted and questions have to be asked, because the only excuse can be, and the only mitigating factor can be, that he didn't see that clearly, which is fair enough. That can happen to anyone. But if he has, and he's decided that he doesn't think that's a card at all, then we've got real problems.
It wasn't even close to the ball. That's what I'm
It was above knee height.
It was I'm so grateful that he hasn't done it like his ACL on his knee, because that was horrendous. Getting on to Derby, on the other hand, they were rubbish for 70 minutes. I think Birmingham handed it to on a plate to get go sitting back and be a bit defensive, because they haven't really held on to leads like that for a while. Obviously, it gave Derby the chance, and don't get me wrong, it's a great finish, and obviously 32,000 there. Obviously, they're getting involved. They want to obviously have the protests outside the ground, and it did make a bit of a difference. I thought that 12 man was there, and they backed them. I'm grateful that they backed them. Got the point. Did they deserve the point? Probably not. Birmingham should have been out of the game, really. But confidence is still up there again for Derby. They'll hopefully go into this game a little bit more confident. My only reason I'm going to go for Huddersfield is they'll have the bodies compared to Derby. Even though Derby have to fight, I'm worried about the bodies. So I'm going to go for Huddersfield to win 2-1. Let's have a quick recap what we just predicted in the 4 games this midweek. And I've gone for 2 draws, 1 away and 1 home win. Daniel Cody has gone for 2 draws, 1 home and 1 away. So pretty much in the middle for both our sides. Very tight games for all 4 picks. And those are predictions for this midweek's action in the Championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section and give us your predictions. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we'll see you next time.